I'm a wizard, mind you. This place is kept by powerful God.
What's up, my wizards? Dev from MTG. We got decks. Here's one. This is Rakdos Aggro, something a lot of people are talking about. Right now, a Tarko Red still seems to be the dominant aggro deck in the format, even with the loss of something like Lightning Strike and Stoke the Flames and even more cards than that. But Rakdos Aggro is coming up from behind. A lot of people very interested in this deck. So let's take a look at it. 24 creatures in this aggro deck. We're playing 6 1-drops to start it off. There's 4 copies of Bloodsoaked Champion and 2 copies of Zurgo over here. Zurgo, obviously, 1 mana 2/2, awesome. And helps us out against mass removal in some situations and sorcery speed removal, which is even more of a thing now in this format without Hero's Downfall and Ruinous Path being slotted in its place. So dash creatures are even better than they used to be. That's not bad at all. And Bloodsoaked Champion. You know, 1-drops in general I think are better just because we lost, you know, Courser of Krufix, we lost Sylvan Caryatid, huge speed bump for aggro decks. Really hard for them to get through that. And so 1-drops get a little bit better now, I think, because they don't have so many, you know, they're stopping blocks that just really cut them cold, you know. And so something like Bloodsoaked Champion, I think, now has time to really come into its own. And I hope it does. It has done very, very well in testing. His raidability is just always good, you know. Again, helps us out against mass removal. That's an awesome thing that the card does. Don't worry, we'll get to the Swift Spirit when we hit the sideboard. We're playing 10 2-drop creatures in the deck, and I'm counting Hangerback Walker as a 2-drop. I mean, that's sort of just how he's traditionally played, and I hate to start every creature, you know, list with, there's some Hangerback Walker. In the next video, I'm like, there's 24 creatures, here's Hangerback Walker. And so, I'm just going to slot him into the 2-drop to be different this time. He is very, very often a 2-drop, though, and again, increases our resiliency against mass removal. You'll hear that a few times in this deck tag. We have very good game against sorcery speed and especially mass removal, which is very good in the form of, obviously, Languish. People are playing Planar Outburst now. Crux of Fate is still around, and even Tragic Arrogance out of the board in a lot of situations. So, just good. 4 copies of Forerunner of Slaughter in the deck. Really falling in love with this thing, man. It does a good impression of Flinthoof Boar. That's what everyone's saying, and they're absolutely right. It reminds me of that, too. Just 2 mana, 3 power guys are always good, right? And this one can give itself haste, or it can give the Hangerback Walker haste. And there are times later on in the game you'll play a 2/2 or even a 3/3 Hangerback Walker in later game stages, and you'll have a mana left over. Perfect mana sink for your Hangerback Walker to be able to go ahead and swing in. So that's cool synergy there, but more often than not, he's going to be giving himself haste. But there doesn't have to be like a million colorless creatures in the deck for this guy to be good. He just is good on his own. 3 copies of McKinney Slide Runner. The card gets more important as the days go on now. It used to be, you know, beginning of the format, 1 of in red aggro-based decks. Now you see 2 and 3 ofs, because the card is just really, really consistent, you know. This comes down in this deck more often than not on turn 2, and then turn 3 you play Forerunner and a land. You have the Forerunner haste, McKinney Slide Runner gets the boost, you swing in with both of them. That's a really good turn sequence. Not quite synergy, but good turn sequence, you know. And there's other stuff to talk about. You could just play Abbot of Carol Keep, but I like this a little bit better in this deck. We're not playing a ton of non-creature spells the way, you know, something like Abbot wants us to do, you know. McKinney Slide Runner just a little bit more consistent in this slot than something like Abbot is. But I do want to make room in the sideboard for Abbot because we're doing something special out of the sideboard. You'll see. You'll see. 2 copies of Drana in the main deck here are only on paper, you know, 3-drop creature. Obviously, Forerunner of Slaughter can be a 2-drop or a 3-drop, but, you know, Drana ostensibly the only actual 3 CMC creature in the deck. Don't want to run into the legend rule here, or we'd probably play more, you know. I could see playing 3, she is that important. Because once she gives your entire team the buff, it's on from there, man. Just the 1 buff is all you need, you know. And, you know, I'd like to see a deck with Drana and, like, Gideon and just emblems the crap out of everything, you know. It'd be good with, like, Anafinza. Like, I don't know, I'm making it in my head as I go along as I record this video, but I'll probably edit that out. Maybe not. Who knows? But in any case, Drana is just balls. Like, the card is fantastic. Really, really good. Ties the whole room together. Perfect 3-drop for the deck. Here there be dragons, 6 of them in fact. 4 copies of Thunderbreak Regent in the deck, and 2 copies of Kolagon, the Storm's Fury. The other Kolagon is probably okay. I just don't want to run 6 drops in the deck. I'm not really sure how much I like Dragon Lord, but that's a conversation for another day. Kolagon the Storm's Fury is crazy and keeps showing up in black-red aggro lists and even a couple of the dark Jeskai lists that I'm looking at. This is a card in those, so, and it really proves its worth, especially when it can swing in with Thunderbreak Region and just give your entire team this huge boost, you know. Can come down at dash with haste, that's crazy, and another card that helps us out against, you know, sorcery speed, mass removal, which is pretty much every mass removal piece in the entire format. So just a lot of things going for us, you know. If we play Kolagon, let's do it. I don't have to talk too much about Thunderbreak, just really, really great 4-drop, 4-power, flying, that's ridiculous, and super amazing upside, you know, more resiliency basically. 11 spells in all that aren't creatures in the deck. We're playing 10 of them burn too, so it's not like a traditional burn deck or anything. It's just good to know that 10 of your spells can hit them for damage, including 4 whole copies of Wild Slash in the deck. I could see slotting like 1 or 2 copies out, maybe playing Ultimate Price, depends on your local meta and how much of the sort of lower to the ground 2-color aggro decks that we're seeing. I can see playing Ultimate Price in the main, but I've gone ahead and opted for 4 Wild Slash. I want to be able to burn them to the face as much as possible. And against sort of the smaller aggro decks in the format, this can be really, really good in blowing their stuff away, letting our guys get through, you know. It's really good when our dudes can get through. That's all I really have to say. And Wild Slash helps with that, and can be, you know, it's very versatile, can be damaged in the late game. And we have ways of turning on its Ferocious, if that happens to matter ever. 4 copies of Draconic Roar in this deck, better than Lightning Strike, for the most part, you know. It's always going to be 3 damage to a creature, no matter what. You'll almost always remove a guy, so, like, even if you don't have it turned on, that's good in and of itself. But we're able to kill a guy and deal the damage, and then, like, swing in, you know, because we created a hole in the defense. That's just, like, it's ridiculous that it just deals a lot of damage really fast and blows dudes off the board, you know. Just love everything about Draconic Roar in a deck that can support it. And people are talking about playing this in decks that don't have dragons because we don't have, you know, Lightning Strike in the format. I don't know if I'd go entirely that far yet. You know, we have some other stuff. The card is just really good in a deck with dragons especially. 2 copies of Kolagon's Command in the deck. It does everything we want it to do. You know, we can raise dead for one of the options. We can bust artifacts, which is sometimes a thing in the format, especially Hangerback. Although they will get the Thopter tokens off of it, but we'll worry about that, you know, later. We just want to get the Hangerback off the board as early as possible. There's, you know, other things we can burn them to the face, you know. Plenty of stuff that the card can do for us. Lots and lots of options on it. We can make them discard, you know, so it's flex against control. Whether, you know, we can choose to, you know, make them discard and get a creature back they've removed. So really, really good against control. And good against aggro in some situations too. You know, we've traded for another guy, you know, we've traded creatures. We can get our guy back and kill one of their dudes, you know. Fantastically versatile card, and we're taking advantage of the fact that we're only playing 2 3-drop creatures. I think we can afford to play a couple of 3-drop spells, and I can see Ruinous Path in this slot, especially the ability to take out Planeswalkers in mid-game is really, really good, but I think Kolagon's Command just has all the versatility that we want. And to finish off the main, 1 copy of Murderous Cut. Just, you know, premium removal. We will very much be able to support this, especially with the land base. Playing a fair amount of fetches. I'll explain that in a moment. It sounds like we should only play 4 fetches. But we'll get to that in just a second. It's going to look weird initially, but Murderous Cut, even without the fetches, you know, we are playing 11 spells, which isn't a ton of spells, but our creatures we will trade, you know, in the early game and stuff like that. So we will be able to support at least the 1 cut in the main deck. And again, tons of fetches. So playing a card like Murderous Cut is, I think, a no-brainer. 25 lands in the deck, and you may have already noticed the wrinkle here, and I'm going to go ahead and explain that. We are playing in the sideboard sort of a transformative strategy. You know, we're playing a little bit of Jund in the sideboard, so we're going to be able to definitely consistently produce all the mana we need to produce. You know, there's something like, if you count the fetches, 17 red sources, 15 black sources, and 9 green sources, which is just more than enough to do everything that we need to do fairly consistently, you know. I had some stuff in here like Mortuary Mire, you know, but it didn't work out. And Haven of the Spirit Dragon was one of, but I just rather be able to consistently produce the 3 colors that I want to produce all the time. And we're not like so dependent on green. We got 1 forest, and all of our other lands that produce green also produce other colors. So we should be totally fine, and we are. In testing, the deck has been just smooth sailing. Here's the sideboard. We're kind of transforming into Atarka Rakdos, I like to call it, in the sideboard, you know. We'll often keep, you know, Forerunner of Slaughter after we sideboard, and we've still got a couple of black elements in the deck, so, and Drana will stay in, you know. So it's going to be a Jund deck straight up, and it's going to be like heavy heavy Jund aggro. And again, I think we're consistent enough on the mana base to do that. I have sided out into this a lot, and so far I haven't had a problem producing the 1 green mana that we need to produce, you know. Atarka's Command, just super solid. Wanted to play it in the main deck, but I think it's trickier to play a transformative sideboard, and it's worked out really well, and it's a lot of fun too, so fun is always important. So Monastery Swift Spear we can side in, take away 3 Bloodsoaked Champions, leave 1 in, and put in the 3 Swift Spears. Become Immense, we can side out the 2 Kolagons of Storm's Fury, because it's going to be really, really high up on the curve. We might even side out a land if we do that, and for the Battle Rages we can side out Hangerback Walkers, you know, and it pretty much all evens out. Aside from that, we got Fountain Invocation, Ruinous Path, and Kolagons Command sort of rounding out the sideboard against big threats, Planeswalkers, and control in some ways. So we got a lot going on for us here, and if we didn't have the transformative sideboard, we'd have a lot of options open to us in these 2 main colors, and then green somewhat. But I really, really like the idea of the transformative sideboard here, especially being able to just come at them from out of nowhere. They think you're playing Rakdos aggro, then you come out of nowhere with like Become Immense plus Team or Battle Rage. Just absolutely ridiculous. And here are your power rankings. A lot of good news here. Notice all the, you know, slightly above average rankings. We do a couple of things really, really well, but we do everything fairly well, which is important for a high score. High score of 67 here, and good, decent for the wallet compared to the stuff that we've done recently. About $275 to $300 if you make this off of TCG player prices, and you know, I always do. But in any case, that is nothing compared, that is half the price of like 3 or 4 of the decks I've done in just the past couple of weeks. You know, we're used to seeing $600 and $700 decks in the standard because of the land base, because of Jace. But in this deck, we are still playing a pretty expensive land base. We're playing Hangerback Walker, you know, Drana fetches a pretty penny. But some cards have gone fairly down, you know. We can get Thunder Breaks for cheap. Bloodsoaked Champions and Zergos are fairly cheap. Kolagons Command is still up there, which kind of sucks. But the deck is fairly budget compared to a lot of the decks that we've done on the channel in just the last couple of weeks. So half price for a really, really good deck, you know, that's a breath of fresh air, I say. Not to mention that we sideboard into what is currently the best aggro deck in the format, hands down, and you'll never see it coming after the first game. Well, that's all I've got for today. Let me know how you feel about this one, because I actually think the deck is really, really competitive, has a lot of easy and fun to use cards. You know, the deck sort of plays itself. It curves out very, very well, very smooth curve, good mana base, you know. The spells that you draw, you almost always want to see, you know. Just everything does something and it serves a purpose. So just, I really, really like sort of the ebb and flow of the deck. Really worked out for me. Let me know how you feel. I think it's got a shot at being a good deck. You know, a lot of people are talking about it right now. Atarka Red is probably still the better deck, but this is the more fun deck. Everybody likes Rakdos, and if you can't beat them, join them. Transformative sideboards. You know, we can just become Atarka Rakdos, which is just really, really cool to say that I'm playing Atarka Rakdos. Let's talk about next time. I think that's a good idea. I want to do the 5-color zoo, and I'd really like to do the $20 blue-black Eldrazi, you know. So either budget Eldrazi, like super budget Eldrazi, or 5-color zoo next time. A couple of other things on the horizon I've been looking at that I'm really interested in, especially the Dark Jeskai deck. You know, the Jeskai deck that adds black for like Crackling Doom and Butcher the Horde, and maybe a couple of other things depending on what build you're looking at. But those are the 2, you know, specifically important cards for the deck. Really, really like the way that thing looks, and haven't shuffled up a game with it yet. I just really like the cut of its jib, you know. And I'm really, really experimenting with this black-white control. Somebody brought it up in the comments, and I'd already been testing it out for, you know, a few days. You know, I've just been looking at lists and stuff like that. What can be done with it? And for a fairly decent price in this format, you can do black-white control and just leave the blue out. We don't need counter spells. We don't need counter spells. We got all the removal you can shake a stick at, right? And some really important threats in the form of planeswalkers. So black-white control is looking really, really good to me, and I've played a few games with it now, and it's pretty smooth, man. I like it a lot. So let me know how you feel about all 4 of the decks that I've just brought up here, and I'll bring one to you next time. If you enjoyed the content, do us a solid like, share, comment, subscribe, just hit the thumbs up. And I'm going to try to get a little bit better about responding to you in the comments. I've been a little bit better about it the last few days, I think. I'm trying. But I just had a lot to do the last couple of months, you know. Just this past weekend, I had a marriage ceremony. If you see that right there, you've probably been like, hey, he never wears a ring. That's because this is the one ring, you guys. So I haven't been able to, you know, respond too much. I've been doing all I can just to put content on the channel. So hopefully there will be a little bit more content. I'll be able to respond to you guys in the comments a little bit more. So let us know how you feel about the deck, the channel, any upcoming decks, stuff you want to see. Just let us know, and I'll try my best to respond to you guys. I'll see you guys later, man. Thank you, sincerely. Thank you for watching, my wizards.